Ukrainian President Zelensky says there is nothing left of the city of Mariupol and his country is teetering on the brink of survival.
The Ukrainians continue to try and resist the Russian advances, with reports suggesting they have regained some territory.
Now, Ukraine's president says there is nothing left of the port city of Mariupol as it remains under constant Russian bombardment.
In his nightly address, he said 100,000 civilians remain there with no food, no water and still no medicine. Well, Judith Moritz can bring us up to date with everything that's been happening overnight. She's in the studio with us this morning. Good morning, Judith.
Yeah, morning. And, you know, tomorrow marks a month since the start of the war. And whilst the Russian advancement's been slower than anticipated, you can see from the red areas here that they have captured key strategic territories, particularly in the south of Ukraine. Now, Mariupol has been the worst hit as Russian forces have bombarded and encircled the city. It's been razed to the ground. These aerial pictures show the extent of the damage. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said there's nothing left of the port city and thousands are still trapped there.
As of today, there are about 100,000 people in the city in inhuman conditions, completely blockaded, without food, without water, without medicines, subject to constant shelling, constant bombardment. For more than a week now, we've been trying to organise stable humanitarian corridors for Mariupol residents. And almost all our attempts, unfortunately, are disrupted by the Russian occupiers, by shelling or deliberate terror.
Well, these pictures were given to the BBC by people who've managed to escape the shelling in Mariupol. Many so desperate to leave, they've been driving out in convoys of bomb-damaged vehicles. But there are pockets of hope. This is the southern farming town of Vozhnesent. Now, Ukrainian troops and a small population of just 35,000 people saw off an attack by the Russians. The locals blew up the town's bridge to stop the army advancing. The Pentagon says that Ukrainian soldiers are successfully reversing battlefield momentum against invading Russian forces to reclaim some ground in parts of the country. A spokesman for the US Department of Defense, John Kirby, gave details at a news conference overnight.
We have seen indications that the Ukrainians are going a bit more on the offense now. They have been defending very smartly, very nimbly, very creatively in places that they believe are the right places to defend. And we have seen them now in places, particularly in the south, near Kherson. They have tried to regain territory.
Meanwhile, two super yachts linked to Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich have docked in Turkey beyond the reach of UK and EU sanctions. But as these pictures show, they were met by protesters, a junior Ukrainian sailing team who carried their country's flag and chanted "No war in Ukraine." Now, further sanctions against Russia are expected to be announced later this week. Ukrainians hope that step by step, the Russians will be urged towards peace.
All right, let's take you through the morning's front pages now. We'll start off with The Guardian. Their headline, "Ashes of a Dead Land. Russia lays waste to Ukrainian port." That's the indiscriminate shelling of the city by Russian forces, and a picture of a young girl there fleeing Lviv for Poland. The Telegraph now. Well, their top story is that Ukrainians are regaining key territory in a fight back. There is something of a counterattack coming from the Ukrainian forces to certain parts of the Russian advance. Metro next. "Sling your hook" is their headline. This is a protests were held in Turkey as Roman Abramovich's yacht made its way into port in Marmaris. The former Chelsea owner, of course, has been sanctioned by the UK and has had to sell the football club. Look at the Times now. Their top story, Ukrainian troops are running out of weapons, and also adding that Germany has failed to send promised military aid.
Telegraph leading on Ukrainians regaining key territory. As it says, Russian forces have been beaten back in several areas. Ukraine's defence ministry claims to have retaken Makariv, I believe, a town west of Kyiv.
Meanwhile, The Guardian features this picture of a young girl crying as she says goodbye to her father through a train carriage window. Paper reports on the continuing fallout from the war.